someone commented and you wrote back like, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. That's not me. That's another guy. I can't remember what they said, but they said, why are you interviewing yourself?
Yeah, and then they put like the skull emoji, and I was just like, that's not me.
That's not me. That's my long lost brother, Jorge, my Spanish brother, Jorge. Anyway, we're on. We starting?
Yeah, it's rolling.
There's no official introduction. We're doing a podcast. This is my friend George the Creative. I'm Ryan Adams, you know that already, and we're chatting. So my first question to you, George, have you seen Die Hard yet?
No. I actually, I was with Lucy, and we were like, we want to watch a Christmas film. So I was like, Die Hard's apparently meant to be good. Ryan said it was good, a few others said it was good. But then I watched the trailer and I was like, you probably won't like this, let's not watch it.
Yeah, no, it's the only one that's worth watching. It's super out of date now, but it's the only one. The people know Die Hard's the only one that's worth watching. And so you got the classics like Elf and all of that, but I'm all about the Die Hard. There's lots of death, there's lots of killing, it's a bit of fun.
Yeah.
There's that old 80s sort of, I don't know when it's set, 80s, 90s humour. It's more for me, but I'm an old man, so maybe for you, I don't know. But.
You are a bit older than me.
That's true.
I don't actually know how old you are, to be honest.
28. You have guessed my age before, and you've always said it was like 26, 20. You've always been 1 or 2 years under, but no, I'm 28. I think people would be shocked to know the age difference between us, but let's not tell them. Let's not. Obviously, they now know my age, but it'd be interesting if they guess your age. I think everyone adds. I mean, this is a clue in itself, but I think everyone would add several years to your age. That's partly aesthetics because of how you look, I think. But I think it is true how you carry yourself as well. Sometimes you could be immature, but I mean, I can't say anything on that one.
You were singing before this podcast.
They don't. The people at home don't need to know that. So yeah, we were blasting. What is love? So yeah, we're straight into this. I don't know what this is about. I don't know what we're doing. We're just chatting and we're seeing what happens here. And this is part of the conversation we had last night, because obviously it's the end of the calendar year here. And I'm not a New Year's resolutions person, typically, or anything like that. I'm sure we're on the same wavelength on this. Like, if you want to start something, start now, for goodness sake. Kicking the can down the road till January is ridiculous. But that said, we are at the end of the year, and it does, I don't know about for you, but it does make me evaluate, and this is partly the conversation we were having yesterday. So I wanted to ask you, like, how do you view 2022? How do you view this year for you? Do you feel it's been a success?
I think it has been, yeah, definitely, because I've now, like, basically before the perceptions of other people thinking that you can't make money out of what I'm doing, and I was just like, okay, well, I'll prove you wrong. And now I earn more than some of my family who have been around for like 40 years, and I'm literally this age, and I'm like, damn, that's quite good. So comparing myself to other people like that have said, no, you can't do this, then yeah, I've been successful this year. But for my own like perception, I did hit my goal, but then I also wanted to up my goal by the end, because I was like, that's not enough.
Yeah, that's something, we had that conversation, didn't we, down in the cafe 3 or 4 months ago, where we were talking about financial targets and whatnot. And to be honest, the goal that like we came up with for you, that was relatively ambitious itself anyway at that time. But it's just funny how things change. It's funny how like your standard and your goals change as you... This is what I'm always talking about with my weight loss clients. They always lose the first 10 pounds and they are so grateful. They're like, oh my goodness, even if they've got 30, 40 pounds to go, they're like, oh my goodness, this is life-changing, this is amazing. As you go on, you keep dropping down the scale, you're like, I want more, I want more. What you initially would have been happy with, I'd do anything. My clients would be like, I'll do anything for a £20 loss. Yeah. They get to like 17, 18, they're like, no, more. And it happens with money as well. And I think to a degree that's maybe gluttony, and it's maybe not necessary to constantly be like, I want more, more, more. Yeah. But at the same time for you, it keeps you growing, it keeps you pushing. And clearly in hindsight, obviously we thought it was a big goal at the time. Clearly in hindsight, that goal was too small for you. There's so much to say about what you said there. I think one thing that you realise when you go into business for yourself, or whether it's an actual business that you start or it's just something like freelancing, what you realise is like that idea that experience earns you more money, which is typically what you learn or what you hear or what you perceive in the corporate world or in just a 9-to-5. That's not that there's anything wrong, obviously, with doing a 9-to-5, but that is what you hear. Like, that's the cliche trope. It's like experience is what does it. And you do expect throughout your career to move up the ranks. And what you realise when you start something for yourself is all the rules are different. And for self-employed people, like, I mean, obviously we're talking about the wins here, right? We're talking about what a success, certainly the second half of the year has been for you. But, like, there are a bunch of consequences and risks that come with that as well. But the way I would summarize it is the rules are different. When you've got a job, the rules are so different to when you're self-employed, and there's pros and cons of each, obviously.
Yeah.
But you've seen a lot of the pros this year, and I mean, how do you feel? Because obviously these are your family members. You love these people. How do you feel when you, and not that you're comparing that much either, but how do you feel when you are overtaking these people financially at the ripe young age you're at, without still letting the viewers know how old you are? Because that's just a game I'm going to keep going. It's going to be like, we're going to be 10 episodes in, even if you're not on the show after this. We're going to be 10 episodes in, and I'm still going to be joking about how old do you think George is. But what was my question? I don't know. You heard it, but how do you feel about overtaking quote unquote people? Not that money's the only metric, but
I don't know, it makes me wonder why they've not, like, done more themselves. And, like, everyone's capable of doing more, so it's really strange. Because I want to do more, but they are at this place where they can't do much more in their normal job unless they go and do something else.
But do you feel, here's a tricky question, do you feel that you're being unfair? Because I know what you're saying, but to play devil's advocate, do you think you're being unfair with projecting your ambitions, your goals onto them? Maybe they don't, someone listening to this might go, yeah, but they don't want the same thing. We're talking about money a lot, like people aren't always that money motivated. Do you think you're being unreasonable?
Definitely.
I love that.
But it's hard to think differently. Like, I try and think differently with everything, because I hate it when other people can't do that for my opinions and stuff. But then it's like, it's just mind-blowing. I find it really tricky. And especially because this might give away the age thing, but I still am at home. So you almost feel guilty for getting this money.
Right. Whilst you're still living at home.
Yeah, because they're like paying for stuff and you're just like there making loads of money and...
You better chip in then.
Yeah, I will be. I will be.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm going to send this to your mum. You better chip in. Do you think... I get you. I think there's a competitiveness that you have, especially as a young male. You're flying with testosterone at your age right now. And I think you just got... My advice to you, for what it's worth, obviously take it or leave it, do what you want with my advice, as you always do. It's like, just... You're in this... You sound harsh.
Yeah.
You sound harsh. Here's what it is. You sound unnecessarily competitive. Because what I would say to you is when you start surpassing some of the people around you financially or in other metrics that matter in a professional or a personal sense, let's say, like, again, what I'm talking about with my clients, as they excel with their health and lose some weight and fix their nutrition habits, whilst everyone around them is still eating Ben and Jerry's like I used to back in the day, right? You are initially in this very competitive phase, but you've got to stop judging yourself by the people around you at some point. That's what I would say to you is, you want bigger, you want more, and so my advice to you would be, I know where you're at, I know where you've been, but these people, you love them, but they were not your standard for success. They were not walking the path you wanted to walk anyway. You love these people, and they all do great things, but there's something else that you wanted. You're probably more walking a path like your brother, I presume, but still with your own George-like spin.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think I'm probably the most money-orientated out of the family. So. Actually, one of my other brothers is as well, but he's in a job for a company, so he's not even done his own thing. But he's got
but there's a glass ceiling to his.
So he's like, this is security, but it's good money for the security you get anyway.
Indeed, and I really didn't mean for this to be any kind of like plug for like business or self-employment. We're just going where the conversation goes. When you say you're money oriented, it's funny because I know you, and I think people, if they heard that about you, or if they met you and you were instantly talking about money, they'd be like, "This guy's nuts."
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to sum you up like that, to be honest, because there's a quality of care that you have with your clients. I think I'm really not just trying to blow your trumpet. There's a level of, I think with you it's the level of detail, and the thing that I've complimented you on many times before, you're probably sick of me saying, but it is a great attribute about your skill. People don't even know what you do. We need to tell them in a second. I just realised they're like, who is this guy? We'll tell them in a second, but for you it's the speed.
Yeah.
The speed at which George gets stuff done, the efficiency is insane.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've spoken about this. I hope you don't mind me sharing this. I don't think you will. Sometimes it makes you make mistakes.
Yeah, definitely.
Grammar mistakes, but that's not there's stuff that's a deal breaker and there's stuff that's just a nuisance, and
Yeah.
I can, when we're working together, I can deal with small nuisances. Obviously over time they'll build up, but you are improving with that sort of thing. But so sometimes I think when you go fast in life with work, sometimes you sacrifice quality of work. That's a potential risk, and sometimes I think you flirt with that boundary. I don't think it's a bad thing because you're super efficient.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing. So when we're talking about you being money motivated, you're also super passionate about photography. Hint, hint, that's what he does. Super passionate about what you do. You do get really into what your clients do. You are really good with them. You are really flexible. You do match their demands, maybe too much. Maybe they push you around a bit. We don't need to mention anyone's names, but obviously everything's respectful and professional here. But sometimes you probably would self-admit that you've been a bit of a yes man with clients, maybe to the extent that it really inconveniences you. So to say you're money motivated, I think, or oriented, excuse me, to use your words, I think people might get the wrong impression. So I just want to mention that.
Yeah, I do have, obviously the money trait, but then my family being normal, standard people, there is a level of, you've got to people please a little bit, and that's part of the customer service side of things.
True.
Where you've, where I've given you 3 things before because I'm I did this thing wrong because I was too quick.
Yeah.
So here's a free, something on our next shoot, and it's just little things.
Yeah, because you're definitely not stingy. That's not. So when we say money oriented, I want to be. I think the best way to articulate is you see the value of money in the world and what it can do for your life and how it can pull you out of the depths of despair, and you are aware of that, and it's something you want to use as a force for good in your life and your loved ones' lives in the future. I think that's probably a more holistic way of putting it, rather than just the soulless acquiring of capital for your own hedonistic pursuits.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good line. So yeah, fair enough. I think the other thing that happens is, and I'm not rich by any means, but when you start making a bit more money I think it can go both ways. I think when I think about versus 3-4 years ago, as the coaching business has really flown for me, I think there's been moments where I've become more money focused and more obsessed and motivated by it. Those are all different things. But let's say money's been more on my mind. And then there's been times where simultaneously I can detach from it way more easily because I've got a certain level of money, I've got a certain level of emergency fund to whereby I can be really generous and I can do nice things for people and I can take care of people and I can give to charity if I want, etc., etc. This is not me being virtuous and saying I'm a super charitable person with money because I don't think I am. I think I can give in other ways too. But so I think there's a weird detachment from it, and I think for you, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you might be in that stage to whereby you've just realised the money that's out there. You're 18. Let's give the ghost up now. You're 18. Even though it doesn't look like it, he is 18. Believe it or not. Oh, 19. Oh yeah, it was your birthday a week ago. It's even worse. It was your birthday 2 weeks ago. Jesus. I'll leave, mate. I'll leave you to it. I don't deserve to be here. We're not friends. We're acquaintances.
I'm about to go actually.
So it's I've lost my train of thought entirely. But I think that's it. I think you're probably in that phase where you've just realised the money that's out there, how you can tap into it, and it's really exciting you.
Yeah.
And there will be a time where you earn a certain amount of money that you can let that go and you take care of those needs and you've got that emergency fund and you can have all this amazing equipment, invest, because you're not a big spender in terms of doing anything, as I say, materialistic or super hedonistic or
whatnot. I like to be quite minimalist.
You're very minimalist and you do invest a lot of money. If people could see the setup and how far you've come with that just in 6 months, if that, you obviously put a lot back into this. Obviously you got the car now as well. And fuel nowadays, it's insane.
Can't even get it.
So anyway, I'm rambling on and on here, but I think you will soon detach once you've got quote unquote enough. Let's say. Yeah. Do you think that's probably true?
Yeah, I think so. It started to become a stage of being comfortable with what I'm earning on an average each month now.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of steadied out a little bit instead of just increasing massively. Where I'm this is weird because I've got a bit of money and normally I'm used to having 0 or a little bit till I get my next paycheck from clients. But then I want to push on, but then I'm this is actually quite nice. So I feel like I'm getting there a little bit where I appreciate having the money, but I also don't care about it that much.
Yeah. So it's coming.
Yeah.
You're letting go of it. It's weird. You make more, you let go of it. It's a weird
Yeah.
thing. It's like provides freedom in that regard because you're less obsessed, because you're less
Yeah.
needy about it. It's less scarce for you, and that's when you can kind of relax. And it sounds like you're getting there. So well done to you. Biggest breakthroughs this last year, then, and this doesn't just because I really didn't actually want this to be super businessy, so we've already like checked that off the list. But this can still be in a business sense. But as you know, when you know, in terms of professionally, it's still like a mental game as well.
Yeah.
So biggest breakthroughs for you this year, what would you say? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
that's a big question. I don't know.
well, let me whilst you think about it.
Yeah.
I have thought about this for you.
Okay.
Because I knew I was going to ask you this
Yeah.
question today. I came prepared.
Is this the
Even though this
question?
is very impromptu and we only decided we're going to film this at like 10 o'clock last night,
Yeah.
this is one of the questions I thought about. I think my observations of what's gone well for you, especially in the latter half of this year when I've got to know you a lot better, is watching you realise your worth, number one, and this, without us revealing any details, like having the ability to drop a client,
Yeah.
having the ability to, again, don't want to disclose anything you're not uncomfortable with disclosing, leave a personal situation like you did very recently,
Yeah.
and get out of that environment where you don't feel you're being treated appropriately.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you didn't do that before, but that's what I've watched in you, realise your own value and worth.
Yeah.
So that's one big
definitely,
thing.
Like in school and everything, I was just like, I'll just stand here and do nothing. But it's definitely got to a point where I'm like, I can't be arsed with this, so just deal with it.
Yeah.
Be less of the people pleaser in those situations, and like cause some discrepancies, because otherwise you just go about life being kicked about. So
I think it's a self-respect thing. That's been
Yeah.
my experiences. In the times where I've had the most self-respect, those are the times where I've been able to leave situations. I think self-respect gets compromised when you need people or you need things and situations. And that's not to say it's not good to attach to things and attach to people, but only when the relationship is right or only when the situation is
Yeah.
right, whether this is in a professional sense or personally. So yeah, I'm with you on that. And I think that the differentiator is self-respect. And I think when you care about your path and what you're doing enough, and you have peace of mind that you're not a bad person, you've conducted yourself well, like in
Yeah.
that personal situation, you believe, again, we're not going to disclose any, let's just say it like this. George did a favour for someone, they didn't appreciate the favour, and that led to an argument. Let's say that led to a falling
Yeah.
out. What George did really well is he left that situation as opposed to staying there, trying to battle, increasing the tension. And I think that's a really huge self-respect thing. And if you needed that situation, this is so weird doing it vaguely, people are going to be like, what? But if you needed to still be in contact with that person or use that person's resources,
yeah.
that's probably a good way of putting it, then you'd be screwed. Excuse
Yeah.
my language, because you'd have to stay.
Yeah.
And so you had enough self-respect to be like, no, I know I've conducted myself well, I'm going to leave here. So that was one thing. Second thing I noticed with you this year is you've grown up too. In a professional sense, like there's a way you can, I don't know if you've seen this in yourself, but there's a way you conduct yourself now that
Yeah.
is, I think you're more professional without us using examples but you know the example I'm thinking of, the London trip.
Yeah.
There's stuff that you don't do now that you would have done 3 or 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Immature stuff. Would you agree? Do you think that's
Definitely.
fair, or am I being mean?
Even like dressing and stuff.
Yeah, the way you dress has changed a lot as
Because
well.
like
Much smarter now.
before I was like, this baggy clothes person, just
Yeah.
chilling, doing my thing. And I'm like, no, if people value me so much, like at this rate, I want to be presentable to them so they're actually like, yeah, this is worth obviously that whatever
Yeah.
it is. That's money again.
Do you think people have responded to you better personally? I'm again not just professionally, so let's not
Yeah.
mention business for a bit. But do you think people have responded to you better because you got the smart shoes now, etc., etc.?
Some people, but some people are a bit funny about it. Like I've always had people comment on what I wear and all this stuff, so I'm like, I kind of ignore it, because if you want to make fun of what I'm wearing, then go for it. If it brings you joy, then feel free. I'll just laugh along. But at the end of the day, it's only their insecurities about I wouldn't wear that sort of thing. But then there's other people.
Or even a bit of, it sounds funny, but even a bit of envy.
Yeah.
Oh, that person would wear that and I would never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when I'm with you, you probably appreciate me wearing sort of that smarter, sort of nice clothes, because when we go out to places, when we've been abroad and stuff, you were like, damn, you're looking sharp tonight. And I was like, I try.
Yeah, and I'm always going to let you know, because I'm going to give you feedback when I think you conduct yourself like well.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's weird because there's taking advice from others, and then there's doing, like, when we're talking about clothing, the cliche trope is going to be, well, you should just wear what you feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true? That's an interesting question. I've not thought about it before.
What, like true as in?
Well, just that statement. You should wear what you're comfortable in.
I think so, but then. For me personally, I've always liked wearing smart clothes, so it's not been a problem dressing a bit smarter, casual, all the time. And you feel more important.
Do you think at college then? Because you say you preferred dressing smarter, which I understand. Obviously, I resonate with. But when I first met you, you weren't dressing like you are now.
No.
It was a more scruffy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. Like, you had your own style, and it's changed a little bit, I would say.
Yeah.
It was a bit more skater boy, I would
Definitely.
say. And so can you see where there might be a contradiction there? You're saying you've always preferred to dress smarter, so why didn't you? What changed?
I think if I dressed smarter in the college environment, so you kind of do adapt to your environment. So that college environment where it is very skater boy and just like, I don't care about school or anything, you kind of do dress like that. But that's also how I felt at the time, because I was like, I don't want to be here. I'm just going to like waste my life and stuff. But now I've got a focus and everything, so I know, I don't know. I don't really know.
I'd say the word you're looking for is direction.
Yeah.
You know where you're going, and you know that there's. It sounds so manipulative, but you know there's a game to be played to achieve that, and you know there could be. It's worth a shot. A better chance of you making a better impression.
Yeah, impressions are very important.
But that's why I've never thought about it before. But that statement of, I'd be interested in what people think at home. But that statement of, "I'll just dress what you're comfortable in," is that true? And I would say, it's the first time I've thought about it. I would say it's semi-true. I would say it's. I would say there's circumstances where you should be prioritizing. How am I comfortable? Am I comfortable?
It's like at a wedding, you dress smart and.
Yeah, but you'd never do that all the time. But here's what I would say to that is, I think you could probably change through habit, because everything, as you know, is habit. You could change what is comfortable to you. Yeah. So if you're really uncomfortable wearing dress shoes and a nice shirt as a man, I think you could train yourself over weeks and weeks to actually feel okay with that. It might feel awkward at first. You're not sure what these pants feel like, or maybe it feels slightly restrictive, or wearing a belt, etc., etc.
Get a bit self-conscious.
You do get a bit self-conscious. Also, it's the social stuff, so it's like, you don't know how people are going to respond to you. You're breaking the story that people have of you. George was the skater boy. Who's this new man? Yeah. You went from George to like Master Jorge, Master George, Lord George overnight. But yeah. Okay, so biggest breakthroughs. Goals for 2023. This is basically, we said this wasn't going to be an interview. I'm just interviewing you now, but who cares? We'll just go with the flow.
Maybe this will be the thing.
Goals for 2023, like, and I'll talk about some of mine as well, because we have literally just been talking about you, but goals for 2023 then, for you. I know we spoke about this a bit last night.
Yeah, so continuing on with what I'm doing, I'm going to definitely try and scale it up this year, I think, because I get overwhelmed whenever I take on a new person, so I want to take out that aspect of business and get someone else involved, which will make it a lot easier to cope.
Well, before you continue, they have absolutely no idea what we're talking about. What do you do? Obviously, we've hinted.
So, I'm a social media content producer. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's George.
No, we do the plugs at the end. Stop that.
Yeah, basically, I do this sort of thing. So, Ryan has got me in today to film a podcast for him. So, I bought all my equipment. I do this weekly with clients, and basically film fitness stuff is like a big thing. And yeah, I guess just a variety of people, businesses, so basically up their social media game where they're struggling.
Yeah, and I think the thing to stress with you is, like, you literally left college in what, June, May,
Yeah.
July,
June or July,
and you've
something
just
like that.
you're like you're just
I was like,
mate,
I'm
you're,
not having a summer.
honestly, mate, you're smashing it. You're doing. That's how I was after I finished uni. I was like, the last thing I want is a holiday.
Yeah.
I've just had 3 years where I have not fulfilled my potential. I was being lazy, and so when I came out of uni, I was like, no, I don't. Everyone used to say, "Oh, don't you want to trip away?" Even
Yeah.
my employer, who I went straight into after I finished university, they even said, "Are you not expecting to have a couple of weeks off? You're not going to go travelling before you start with us?" I was like, absolutely. So they even would have let me do that, which some employers wouldn't. So they were even cool with that idea, but I was like, no chance. I just want to go. And I think we're probably the same in that. Like, I don't know about you, but for me, like leisure time and that sort of thing, it has to be earned. Otherwise, I feel guilty about it. Otherwise, I don't like it. Which maybe you can argue is slightly unhealthy, but I don't think so. I think you've got different phases in life, and there's times where you need to work hard and you feel super motivated to, and you've got to take care of things that you're not taking care of. And then times where maybe there's an argument that you're too overly stressed and you've put too much in, and you deserve that decompression phase. And right now, you're in a hard working phase.
Yeah.
So just basically then to sum up for next year for you in terms of like the photography stuff, like just growing, maybe taking on someone else to help you with it because it is hard on your own, and but just more of the same basically.
Pretty much.
But
Just
growth,
higher sort of goals than this year.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'll calculate them. It'll
Yeah.
be quite tricky because you never really know.
No, you don't know what's realistic, do you?
No, I think a quarterly goal could be good.
Yeah, because if you set one for the year, we talked about this last night. I think.
Yeah.
If you set one for the year, it's like
kind of
there's so many
pointless. You can't
variables.
calculate it,
Exactly.
really.
Okay, cool. What about personal life?
Goals in personal.
Well, yeah. What are you gonna do better this year?
I don't know. I think I want to limit the time that I spend with certain people, because it kind of brings you down. It's like people that work a 9 to 5 generally always say they're tired, all of this nonsense. And I'm just like, I can't put up with this.
They're gonna think you're so harsh to anyone that doesn't.
I know. I'm straight to the point with some things. Like my mum last night
So
said
rude.
something, and I was like, I went on for like 30-second tangent, and then she just walked out, and I was like, that was quite harsh, but it's the truth at the end of the day.
What's the truth? You mean it's your opinion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My truth.
But there's again, I know. Like, let's play devil's advocate with this because I've got to hold your
Yeah.
feet to the fire on this. Like, I've got to push back because it isn't true, mate. It isn't the truth.
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of entrepreneurs that are shattered. I know a lot of self-employed people that are shattered, and they're
like,
always down and moaning. So I think, let me finish. I think what you're talking about is that most people are pessimistic, down, naysayers. I don't think it's got anything to do with employment, and you're suggesting it does.
True.
Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
That's my
It could
view.
just be me in
I think you're
personally.
projecting like that employment is the difference maker. I know a lot of people that I wouldn't hang out with, and they've got their own business. Like that doesn't suggest quality of character necessarily.
Yeah.
It suggests similar values that they want to do their own thing. But that's what I mean. People are going to think you're so harsh. You're lucky I'm here to make people realise you're actually You've got a good heart.
Everyone's going to hate me. They're going to be like, kick him off the next one.
They are.
Sorry about that brief interval.
We're back. We lost battery there. So the UK this year.
Yeah. What do you think about UK people? Has anything changed about them?
So you haven't noticed anything then?
No,
We're still
I've
asking you,
literally,
but
not noticed.
Yeah, no, I'm the same as you. I just bury my head in the sand. That makes it sound like I'm being ignorant. I'm not. I still know what's happening, roughly speaking. I would say that my sense is that it's still turbulent. I think the last few years have been. There is social tension.
Yeah.
It's hard to put your finger, and I'm not the analyst on these matters, but it's hard to put your finger on exactly where that's coming from or what that is. But it does feel turbulent. I think for me, it's like I think this past year, like one of the things that has gone well for me in a very mixed year has been like my social life. There's been new people come into my life, and the current people in my life, like the friendships have become better and that sort of thing, and just the friends that I've met through like the Muay Thai stuff as well has been good, and just all the travel and the adventures. Basically, my social life I think has been really good this year, and so point I'm making here is that my world is full of good people and is full of like good stuff happening, and so like I don't know, like I'm like you, I'm sort of shut off from it. So I think as much as like the common sort of trope or analysis or narrative nowadays is everyone's at each other's necks. There's two sides to everything, whether it's politics or religion, etc., etc., and everyone's at each other's throats. I think that is so ridiculously simplistic and stupid. I think that's clearly not what's happening. I think one scroll online and that's the impression you might get. Yeah. But I think when you actually go and interact with people, there's still so much goodness in the world. There's still so much, like what you see on TikTok with like the insanity there, like it is not representative of the population.
No.
It might be representative of younger people, and that's like people in your age group, they might be a little bit nuts.
Yeah.
But still, most people I meet, even of your age, there's still lots of goodness in them. There's still plenty of sort of good, strong traditional values and morals. There still is a sense of, a shared sense of how we treat people here in the UK and that sort of thing, and that is being generally upheld. So I think there's still lots of goodness here, but it does seem to be turbulent, doesn't it? But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going. I think financially, like recession stuff is going to be awful here. For everywhere in the world, I suppose. I think it's going to be bad. And it does feel like that's coming, like the inflation is insane. But whether people are, like the Christmas markets in our city in Bath over the last couple of weeks have been nuts. So I think it does seem as though, I'm no economist, it does seem as though like bad stuff is going to happen economically. Such a simple way of putting it, bad stuff. It does seem like we're going, recession is here and coming, and it's only going to get worse. But at the same time, I haven't witnessed people being more frugal yet. It's weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know where all that's going, but maybe I shouldn't comment because
it could just be like the news saying people are doing this and they actually aren't.
Well, it's different between perception and reality, right? So totally agree. But it seems turbulent anyway.
Yeah, like I've noticed, especially there is like because the fuel prices started dropping a lot. In one like fuel station specifically, as soon as they've put more fuel in, they literally run out daily. Everyone's crowded in there and there's massive queues and everything. That might not just be because someone's run out of fuel, but it's because it's also cheaper that day. So everyone's being like, oh, I got to bulk buy this.
Yeah, it's true. There's like a scarcity sort of mindset.
Yeah.
You saw it with the toilet roll thing a couple of years ago. Like that was wild. So,
Yeah.
like it doesn't feel like that. Like that felt chaotic.
Yeah.
Early 2020 felt, which is weird because it's actually the best year of my life, which sounds nuts to say. But early 2020 felt absolutely chaotic. It doesn't feel like that now, but it just feels like there's this lingering build-up, tension, turbulence, and I can't put my finger on it. I can't tell you why or what's changed in the psyche of people here. And I'm sure this is mirrored elsewhere in the world, but I only live in the UK. I don't live anywhere else. I've done a bit of travelling this year, but I only really can comment on the UK. So I don't know where it's going. It doesn't look good, but I also don't think it's as doomsday.
No.
Socially with people, socially in society, I don't think it's as doomsday.
No, I don't think so.
As maybe what you sometimes are led to believe, yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely just like scaremongering.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, yeah.
But I don't know why. For you, why was like going off topic a little bit?
We're allowed to go off topic. Like there is no set rule. As the people at home can tell, I've literally asked like 3 questions, which I obviously have on my phone here. That's why I keep looking at it. I'm not just being rude and bored and scrolling through Tinder whilst George is talking. I'm not just doing that. But yeah, I think people at home realise that we have like it's just going everywhere and.
So you said
ranting at people that have jobs and we've insulted all sorts of people in this first podcast. But yeah.
You said about 2020. Was that the start of COVID? Because I literally can't remember.
Yeah, I suppose as well. It's weird because you were like 16, so you've grown up with it. Whereas
I was in secondary school, about to do GCSEs, but then for you that was your best time.
Yeah, so personally, obviously it sounds super selfish, but, so just analysing my life personally, 2020 was a massive breakthrough year for me. Not anything to do with what was happening in the world, just purely by chance. That was the year where I found the help I needed to, and this is going to maybe sound super vague, but I got the help I needed to with natural weight loss mastery and growing YouTube channel, and then starting the coaching. I started the coaching about a couple of months before 2020 began, like in October, November time, but it really kicked off in 2020. My YouTube channel did really well in 2020 as well, and that was helpful. And I just, like, that's when I started getting good at helping people drop cholesterol, lose weight. It was just the culmination of events that came together for me in my life, and it was just the gradual body of work that I built up. There was nothing magical about 2020 itself. It's just that was the time whereby everything started to click for me. All the work that I put in different areas, it just started to click, and it was a big breakthrough. And I'm mainly talking like with like the Vegan Slim and Sustain program, my clients, that sort of thing. I'm mainly talking that, since that was a big breakthrough year. The amount of clients I could work with, financially, it was, very nice for me. But yeah, more importantly, in terms of helping more people through the program and whatnot, like that was insane. And then YouTube videos and whatnot, my YouTube channel, we helped a lot of people. I think that's my feeling that year. And then social life and whatnot, like I had a really good time. Yeah, I had a really.
Were you in Cambridge?
That's when I used to live in Cambridge. So, for the first half of that year, I moved out in September. But yeah, and that's the year I spent a month in Prague, which was really cool to go sort of stay there for a while, get in a different environment, and just I don't know. I'm not articulate. I realise I'm not expressing this well at all, but it was just my big breakthrough year, but not because of anything to do with that year, because it was the time of year where you'd think, no, this is all going wrong in many people's lives. I was very lucky, and it was just the time. I say lucky, a huge part of it was luck, but it's when things just clicked for me.
Yeah.
So that was a really good year. I mean, there were times where it was ridiculous. Like there were times where, not to talk about government overreach and whatnot, otherwise we are going to get shut down. But there were times where, those stay-at-home orders were just absurd, and that did make me feel not great. That did affect quality of life, but it was temporary, and I spun it and reframed it into, I'm going to work really hard, I'm going to work on this, okay, I don't need the gym membership to feel good and exercise, I can do this, this, and this instead. I just reframed it. It wasn't ideal, but I just reframed it. I didn't let it get to me as much. I was also very lucky, like none of my immediate family had any trouble that year, both in a health and a financial sense. Like I was lucky. Like I knew people that got it, but I was quite lucky with it. So in my immediate circle. So
I only just had it
as far as you know.
Ago.
As far as you know.
Yeah, as far as I know. And I just felt like I had a bad cold.
Yeah.
Literally,
Look, we're not talking about it here. We're not talking about it. No, I had it a couple of times. I mean, you're a whippersnapper. You should have great immunity.
Yeah.
And obviously, obviously this isn't. You've had dietary change recently as well, which undoubtedly will boost immunity. You just can't tell. So yeah. George is vegan now, is what I'm saying.
Indeed.
But and you're eating pretty cleanly, to be fair. Like most of the stuff I see you eating. Has that been I know it's partly because with Lucy, but is that your forget going vegan from an ethical perspective for a moment.
Yeah.
I know you care about that too, but forget that for a moment. From a health perspective, have you been trying to eat more cleanly, or has it just happened by virtue of eating more plants? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I think it started with a much cleaner thing, like with trying.
Yeah.
No, actually, just generally because you're like, I can eat all these vegetables and I have to because that's the diet.
Yeah.
But I'm exploring different things now, like obviously tofu and stuff isn't bad for you. But I've definitely ate a lot cleaner. I actually have, I can't remember what scales, Omron scales I think, where they basically measure your visceral fat and your fat percent and stuff. My visceral...
A bit unreliable, but yeah. But go on.
Yeah, well my visceral used to be, when I was eating meat, like 4 or 5, but it's now 2. So it's like that side of it just...
Have you lost weight?
It's got better. So when I was eating meat, I was also working out, so it's kind of tricky to compare.
It's hard to tell, yeah.
But I've lost 10 kilos, but that's since stopping working out.
You've lost 10 kilos?
Yeah, muscle.
You haven't.
I was 60 before I started working out. I bulked, put on 10 kilos of muscle and a bit of bit of fat, but I was still like 11%.
In the
fat.
time I've known you, you're telling me you've lost 10 kilos.
no.
Oh, okay, right. That's what I thought you
A
meant.
little bit
because I was
before.
like, that's not right. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think when I've seen photos of you years ago, you're definitely leaner now, 100%.
Yeah.
But 10 kilos is on someone of your frame. That's a lot. So
Yeah.
I'm not questioning you. I do believe you, but it just sounds like
muscle.
Yeah.
I ate like over 3,000 calories a day, which for me was quite a lot, and then consumed loads of protein and like.
Yeah.
What you had, the gym bro sort of
that
thing.
gym bro thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know all about
But
that. Sadly.
I've started working out again, but I'm eating a lot cleaner and more natural sort of plant-based foods.
Yeah, and you're not doing that. Like for me, it was that crazy like dirty bulking concept, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Like that's what I used to do, and it just like everyone knows that's coming to this channel. Like they've seen the photos. Like that got me so. I did build muscle, but I got so fat with it. Bloody hell! And I just got hooked on. I just got so hooked on junk food as a result of it, and started feeling very powerless to it. It's too easy. It's too easy to have a bad relationship with food when you're giving yourself permission to eat bad food, which is what the dirty bulking or flexible dieting paradigm allows you to do. So, good. And do you feel any better for? And I'm not just because of what I do. I don't expect you to say yes to this question. But do you feel any better for it? Don't be afraid to say no if you haven't noticed the difference.
I really haven't noticed a lot of difference. Because I think there's a view that you will see a massive difference, like negatively mainly from most people.
Because you're going to be deficient. What are you going to do without meat, B12, protein?
But it all just... My body's good at adjusting with things, so I think I just take it fine.
Yeah, I mean, so like partly it's just a gut bacteria job. I think for many people you have to get used to the increase in fibre. So
well, I went vegetarian first, didn't I? So
you would never, would not. To be fair, it's probably been. Don't want to put words in your mouth. Probably been an easier transition for you than some because you were never massive like with eating animal products anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have like dinner with an animal product in, but the rest of the day, like when I was doing that bulking stuff, I was eating like a pack of frozen chicken in a wrap and stuff, and it was pretty gross. We haven't,
even though I know you've done this, like, I don't think we've talked about the ethical side much. Like, where are you at with that? Like, what does that... There's no right or wrong answer here. Like, you know how my audience is. It isn't... People aren't going to be after you. Because you say, oh, it hasn't connected with me. Like, I don't think we've ever had this conversation. Because I don't talk about it anymore. Because I've been vegan for 7 years, so I don't even think about it. But
it resonates quite a lot. Like, because I've been transitioning with my clothing and my shoes and everything. Like I've got rid of as many of my shoes that have suede and everything like that. But I have one pair of smart shoes, and those happen to be leather. And whenever I wear them, I'm like,
but you'd already bought them.
Yeah, but then it's like I look down and I'm tying my laces, and I'm like,
you feel guilty.
Why is there a cow on my foot? It's kind of grim. So like, and I have a leather sofa that I bought, and I'm like, what do I do with this now? Because if I sit on it and I think about it, I'm like,
it's annoying. It's guilty conscience.
Yeah.
No, I have still the same thing. I don't think I have anything anymore. But I gave stuff away. So like, I had a jacket with down feathers and gave that away. Like when I could afford to buy the new equivalent or alternative. So. But I was like you, it's like, I knew it was fine. I knew I'd done nothing quote unquote wrong by still owning that stuff and still sometimes wearing it because I bought it before I, before I made the transition. And so before I even had consciousness that I might wish to make the transition, before I became enlightened, for want of a better word, to it. But before I had the epiphany. And so you can't, on paper, it's like you can't feel bad about it, but as you know, you do anyway. You're like, oh, sugar, this jacket, almost said someone else, sugar, this jacket's got down in it, like, I can't wear that anymore. The belts, I just gave away, I think, ultimately, in the end, and so, but you're not, just to give you a bit of peace of mind, mate, like, you already bought them, so don't feel bad about it, but obviously, when you can afford... and then make sure you go and give them to a charity shop or give them to someone that actually needs them. That's what I'd say. Like the charity shop down here, whatever it is, be on the road opposite the shoe store. You know that shoe store.
Yeah.
On that, it might be British Heart Foundation. I think
Possibly,
it is.
Yeah.
Like I go there every month. So
stuff.
So just with old stuff. So none of it's non-vegan stuff anymore. But yeah.
There was only one time where I was a meat eater and I thought, because I was eating some salmon and they have like the skin on and I was peeling it off, I'd always told my mum like, can you just get that off for me before I see it on my plate?
Why do you think
And that's
that was then? What do you think's happening there psychologically?
It just like makes you see the reality of it.
Yeah,
You
it's
don't
you're like,
want
oh,
to see
this
it.
is actually an animal.
And
It's
I
got
was, like,
skin. If you
peeling
don't see
it
it, it's
off.
like,
Yeah, and I was just peeling it off with my knife, and I was like,
yeah.
I'm not eating that.
But
I'm
that's
just
why
not eating
that's
dinner.
why lots of vegans will make the argument, and I think they're absolutely right to do so. I don't think I've ever said this myself, but I suppose now I think about it, it is a good argument. Is if you wouldn't do it yourself, if you wouldn't catch the poor thing, and then cook the poor thing, skin the poor thing yourself, would you necessarily feel that motivated to eat it? I think most people. I know it's different. 'Cause we're different now in terms of technology and structure of society, so it's maybe a metaphor that isn't that appropriate anymore, but I think most people will be like, no, we're so domesticated.
It's weird though, because I used to shoot like rats and rabbits.
Yeah.
So I used to be that like hunter person
Yeah.
that would happily do that, and I was like, I'm gonna catch a rabbit today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skin it, but my gun wasn't working, so I couldn't do that. I'm happy that I
Thank
can
goodness.
do that.
Thank goodness.
But yeah, it was like.
But
I
you do go
completely
through that
changed.
phase. I don't know if anyone will actually resonate with this, but
Yeah.
you do go through that phase when you're a kid. It might just be a
Oh,
boy.
yeah, I
It might
was
be a boy
younger.
thing as well.
Yeah.
But you do like I remember like trying to throw cricket balls at birds in our village.
Yeah, when
Like,
you're on the beach throwing stones
it's
at
so
seagulls.
it's so straight. I think you go through that thing. There's like a
Yeah.
phase you have when you're a boy at like
Yeah.
I don't even know when it is. 12.
Probably around that.
Yeah, I don't know
That's when
what
I had
that
it.
I don't know what that is, but it's horrendous. I don't
It's
know
probably
where.
just the transition.
Luckily, I
like,
was
testosterone and stuff.
I mean, it's obviously
increases,
hormonal. It's
yeah.
obviously hormonal, but I don't know specifically what is happening or why that is needed. In because there's obviously a reason why we've developed
But
that.
it's not taught different either.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Like, I was never told, oh no, don't do that. I was just like, yeah, go on, get it.
Well, who's going to see? You're not going to do it in front of people, are you necessarily?
What?
Did your parents not tell you off for
No.
trying to do stuff like that?
Well, my dad's just like farmer person,
Yeah.
and all his mates are farmers, so I'd go to their farms.
So it's
and,
all
like,
very normalised there.
Yeah, it was just like, yeah, you can
This
go
is
do that.
what we do. Yeah, this is what we do with animals.
Yeah.
We might be coming to the end, mate. I don't necessarily want to, but for the sake of people's attention
Yeah,
and viewership,
I don't know how attentive they will be.
we'll
but
probably wrap up and battery and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anything else on your mind? Like, it's been a interesting, even though it's been an unplanned conversation, it's kind of, we've covered a lot of stuff and it's flowed nicely, and
Yeah.
you've insulted pretty much everyone, so
Pretty
from
much.
influencers to
It's good
people
going.
people that have jobs, which is most of the people watching. But it is very important that I played the devil's advocate and
Yeah.
that I did at
it's
times.
like, I don't mean things offensively.
No, but they do
but
come out across
yeah,
very.
they do definitely come
They
out as that.
sometimes, I should say, come out very
Yeah.
poorly. I know you, so I know your intentions.
Yeah. But that's a growth thing. I'll soon.
You'll be fine.
learn,
But that's
yeah.
that immaturity we spoke about at the start. Like, it's
Yeah.
still there, but you are a lot better with it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes you just need someone to play devil's advocate and
Humble.
give you the other side of the coin. But
Yeah,
but I know you're a good person. I know your intentions. So, and I think people at home will
Hopefully.
people at home are not going to be insulted because you want to work for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, that's not.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
just have a
it's just your
drive and
wording
passion.
around it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes. Yeah.
Oh.
Anything else on your mind? Anything you want to ask or talk about before we wrap up?
Honestly, I don't know. 'Cause if we start something else, this is going to be like another hour.
Let's leave it then. Thanks for your time. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
We might be back. We don't know what this is.
We'll see if you.
It's
give
probably
us-
going to be me. It probably won't be Joe. I don't know what this is.
Yeah. We'll soon find out.
We'll soon find out. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Such a goon. Such a goof.
Let's get this stopped.
Thank goodness.